Thanks for talking to us today on Caught Offside, Fabrizio Romano. How are you?
It's a super pleasure. Thank you. I'm fine. Really happy to be here together, to talk together. So thanks again for the invitation.
Good stuff. So tell me, how did your relationship with football begin? Because for me, it was a very small child. And on Saturdays, when the football was on in England, my father used to cook, and we had one television in the front room and no radio in the kitchen. So I would go backwards and forwards. I helped lay the table with my mother, but telling him the scores for Tottenham. So very soon, as you know, you're a kid, you start saying, "Oh, we're winning," or "We drew, we lost." So how was it for you? What were your first experiences, do you think?
It was of course from my family, because my dad is a big football fan, and so it's how it started. I had my brother also a big football fan. He was older than me, and so they were always pushing me in the football world. So I started when I was like 5 or 6, also because I am from Napoli in Italy. That is a city in the south of Italy where football is everything really. We had Diego Maradona in Napoli, and it was more than football. Trust me, it was a part of the culture of the city. So people in Napoli are thinking about football 24 hours per day, talking about football 24 hours per day. And this is why I started my dream also of being part of football industry, because I was so young when I had this dream, when I was like 10 or 11. So it was everything made in my family, as I said, because of my father, because of my brother also. But it's also thanks to the city, because the passion in the city for football, and also city like Naples is like in South America. So when you are out of school in the afternoon, we were going to play football in the streets every single day. So football was part of my life since I was 5 or 6. And so this is why I always wanted to be part of football industry, but I wasn't planning to be where I am right now.
So that leads me neatly on. It seems against the odds from what you've just said, but what profession may you have gone into had you escaped football?
This is a good question. I had a plan to try to do something as a lawyer, because I love to speak and this kind of things. So I had this kind of plan as a lawyer as plan B, if with football it was not going to work. So I wanted to do something or as a lawyer or in the communication side. Also, if my family, my mom and my dad, they've always been in the medical sector in Italy. And so they wanted me to go on their side. They were trying when I was a baby to push me on their side. But I always wanted to do something with football. I love this sport. It's more the sport than, as I told you, for me, it's my life 24 hours per day. And so this is how it started. But the plan B was close to be maybe a lawyer, yes.
So I understand, rumor has it, your team is Watford.
Yes.
So from the boy from Napoli, how did that happen? Explain yourself.
Yes, it happened because I was watching the famous game between Watford and Leicester, the crazy game at Vicarage with Manuel Almunia saving the penalty, and then Troy Deeney scoring the late goal. Was incredible. The feeling I had was really incredible. I always loved international football. So since I was a baby using internet, I was always trying to watch South American football, English football, and many other crazy competitions around, and not only Serie A. So for me, it was a big passion to try to watch players around Europe, also together with my brother who was helping me. And so this is why we were watching this game, and it was an incredible feeling. Then I was understanding about the Italian ownership of Watford, so it was also easier for me when I started to start my process as a journalist. Okay, I knew about this Italian ownership, so it was easier for me to get in touch with people into the club, but also with players, because many players of Watford also years ago were coming from the Italian league. So players I remember like Berami, Britos, and many others. I already met them in Italy, and so it was easier to go to England to meet with them and to go to the stadium. So I've been at Vicarage 4 or 5 times, and it was incredible for me. It was incredible because the passion that you have in England for football is something completely different. I think in Italy we think about football 24 hours per day, but how you live in the stadium in England, I think, is something that is really impressive, is incredible. And so the feelings I had with Watford, with such a small club, but with a lot of passion around, and also how easy it was to talk with the players, for example, after the game, was something that surprised me. Because I was used to Italy, where you go to the stadium, but it's really impossible to get in touch with the players after the game.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, it's impossible. Also, if we talk about small clubs in England, I remember first time in Vicarage, and then I was speaking with Manuel Ayun, with Valon Berami, with many other players, and I said, okay, it's another world. It's completely another world. And this is why I love this atmosphere since day one.
So this would, in fact, give us some indication as to what the allure of the Premier League is, because I think people in England, they kind of take it for granted. They think it's very great, it's the number one, but in actual fact, that's also the perception outside of the country.
Yes.
And the players feel differently.
Yes, the experience you have is something incredible. I'm from Italy, so as I say, there is a lot of passion. We love football, we live for football, but it's different. The moment of the game is completely different, I think. How do you live the game? The experience at the stadium, the fans after the game also is something that is super special. And as you say, the players are in love with this kind of atmosphere, are absolutely in love with this kind of atmosphere. So of course it's about money, it's about big clubs, it's about tradition, but it's also about the experience you have when you go into the stadium as a fan, as a player, as a director. For example, the director of Tottenham, Paratici, always he's since many years having this dream of working in England as a director. That is something not so usual, but he always wanted to try this experience in Premier League, also because of the atmosphere. So, it's something super special.
Well, these words are going to only further endear you to English football fans, I can tell you. So listen, just before we get into the football properly,
yes,
you obviously enjoy your work. As you say, you live and breathe it, or you wouldn't be able to sustain the levels of support and interest across the world. But tell me, what does Fabrizio Romano do in his own time when he's not being a global megastar?
This is a good question, because trust me, it's not just to say, but my life is 80%, 85% with my work, because I love this work. As you said, I enjoy my work. I think I'm super lucky because we are in football industry. And so, okay, sometimes can be stressful, could be difficult. You have a lot of pressure, responsibilities, but at the same time, it's football. So every single day I go to sleep and I say, remember that you're talking about football, you're doing the best job in the world. And so I'm always happy with what I'm doing. So my life is 85% with football, with contacts in people with football in football industry, meeting people in football industry. For example, yesterday night I was at dinner with an agent. Today afternoon I'm gonna meet with another agent. So it's always like this. My time is 100% dedicated to football. Then of course I have my private life with my friends. I'm super lucky also because two of my best friends are working in football too. So they're working like journalists too here in Italy. And so they understand my moments. They understand if we are having dinner or if we are on holiday and I have a news to share, they understand the moment. So it's easier to tell them, okay, I need 1 hour or 2 hours to work. Also when we are on holiday, for example, I can tell you that last summer, it was the end of May. We were on holiday together with three of my friends. We were having a football game, a friendly football game all together. And then I remember the ball was going out. So we're going to get the ball. Okay, having 5 minutes of stop. We go out. I check my phone and I have a notification on my WhatsApp. Fabrizio, Zinedine Zidane told to the team tonight that he's going to leave Real Madrid. And I said, okay, guys, I can't play. Sorry. I have to do some calls, and this is part of my life. I was on holiday. It was 11 p.m. So you can say, okay, you are relaxing, you're having dinner. No, impossible.
Fantastic. So I would be interested in your views on players that you might make, you feel might make interesting additions to the Premier League. So, for example, Tottenham have been looking for a striker to either accompany or replace Harry Kane for many seasons. And I recently came up with the idea of Ben Brereton Diaz, who you may know plays for Blackburn and for Chile.
Yes.
Because I thought he ticked so many boxes for Tottenham. But then I don't get paid the mega bucks. So that was the end of my research. But do you have any players on the top of your head, just to put you on the spot, that you have seen that you think would be amicable fit for any club in England, say?
I have one player. When you ask me this question, my answer is Dusan Vlahovic, Fiorentina striker.
Because sometimes okay.
I have the feeling sometimes that this boy is underrated out of Italy. So if I speak with some people in England or in Spain, okay, they say good talent, but they don't know a lot about him because he's playing for Fiorentina. So it's not like Juventus, Inter, AC Milan. So it's different. But trust me, this boy is something special. I can bet my money on him because I'm sure that this boy is really special. We're talking about a striker that reminds me of prime Ibrahimovic because he can do everything. He can do, okay, of course, Ibrahimovic is a different and special player, but what he can do is super special because he has a fantastic shot, but also he's so physical striker. He has a lot of leadership. He can handle the pressure because he announced it 3 months ago. He's not extending his contract with Fiorentina. The fans were furious, people into the club were furious, but then he's still playing and still scoring every single Sunday, also if the situation is still in danger with the club. He's super serious guy, super professional, living for football, scoring a lot of goals in different ways. As I said, big shot, but also with his head. He's very good with both feet. He's now going with free kicks too. I'm sure that this boy, I don't know where he's going to end up because it's still an open race. And with his agents, it's not so easy to negotiate. And Arsenal know about him because they wanted Vlahovic, but no contact with his agent because his agent is looking for different solutions. But this boy, wherever he will end up, I'm sure that he will be a star. He's a fantastic, fantastic striker.
It's fascinating you mentioned this because I was going to bring this up. I just found through my notes here, and because you spoke with Christian Vieri at the Social Football Summit, and his quote, this triggered the question. He said, "I never seen a player like Haaland at this age, 80 million, he's worth 200 million. He makes a difference at his age. I wasn't able to control the ball. I would sign Haaland or Dusan immediately." And my follow-up question to that was, I'm not 100% sold on Dusan, but I speak from the limited position. I've only seen like scouting clips. I've not sat through entire games, and I know my position is narrow, you know. But you are really emotional.
I'm super emotional on him because last summer, I still remember, I'm talking about 2020, Fiorentina were looking for potential loan for him, like Verona, Leipzig wanted him in Germany. And the boy said, I want to stay here. I want to prove myself here in Italy, in Italian football, in Fiorentina. For 6 months, he wasn't even playing. Then they changed the manager in super difficult situation because now Fiorentina are good. But last season, they were fighting on the relegation zone. So it was really difficult for them to handle with the pressure in Florence. And this boy was always scoring, always. I think his numbers is like 24 goals in 27 games in 2021. He's incredible. He's also good with penalties. He's very, very good striker. So I'm sure that he's worth the money they're asking for him.
Well, I'm going to believe you opposed to my own eyes because I don't think I've seen enough. I was just concerned there were a lot of goals that were just, you know, like tap-ins that were from close range around the 6-yard box. And maybe I've not seen the whole picture. I mean, you know, so, you know, I'll go back to it. I'll keep working.
Look at the game, Fiorentina-Cagliari, and then let me know the highlights of Fiorentina-Cagliari.
Okay.
One of the last 2 games.
Okay, so we're going to dip into Tottenham for a little while.
Yes.
Okay, so do you know who was Paratici's preferred choice for the Tottenham job from the first moment during the hunt?
Antonio Conte. I have no doubt in it. Antonio Conte. It's always been Antonio Conte. Then also Mauricio Pochettino was in the air because of the relationship, of course, with the club, with Daniel Levy. So Pochettino was a serious option too, but was not possible with PSG. Antonio Conte was his first name in the list. It's always been his first name, but the relationship is amazing. They won the title here in Italy 3 times in a row with Juventus, but also they have the same mentality. I know both of them since long time, and I can tell you that Antonio Conte is living 24 hours per day, only football, nothing else is important, his family and his football. This is life of Antonio Conte. And for Fabio Paratici, it's exactly the same. I used to meet him in the center of Milan when I was younger, and I was going around the city all day to meet with people to get some news. I was like 19, 20, and sometimes I was coming back home at 1 a.m. during the night, and Fabio Paratici was still around in the city with his headphones, talking with people, asking for players, all day talking about football, all day thinking about football, watching football games in different countries. One time I remember he was watching one game with Poland, in under 21 of Poland. I say, what is this? And he's always been focused on. Also, he knows everything on players of the 3rd division, of the 2nd division. So he's not only elite director. He can work on many different things. So I think it's the same mentality. They have the same mentality. And this is why his first option was Antonio Conte since day one, because to win for Tottenham is key. They need to win something after so many years. And Definitely. Antonio Conte is a serial winner.
So tell me, the one question this provokes is, why couldn't a deal be done, should we say, 70 days sooner?
Yes, first of all, money were a topic, because of course money are always a topic in this kind of stories, and was one of the potential, we can say one of the causes, because was not happening, because not only money, but was also on the technical point of view, because Antonio Conte wanted a lot of power. And when I say power, is not just about money. So many times I see that people say Antonio Conte wants 200 million euro, 300 million euro for signing players. It's not just about the budget. It's about also the power. I mean, I want and I need this player for my team. I need this signing. It could be also a 32 years old player that you say, like Victor Moses at Chelsea or Olivier Giroud. You say these players are not for top clubs right now. Okay, they're good players, but not for top clubs. But he wants to have the power and to feel the power to say, I want this player. In June, it was not like this with Tottenham. It wasn't like this. Then in November, the situation changed because they were needing a manager, and they're now prepared to give him what he wants. So this is why it changed. And also what Antonio said is true, that he was really shocked by what happened with Inter, because it was not Antonio decision to leave. It was forced by Inter ownership situation that is really complicated. Here in Italy, they were not paying salaries to the players last season. So they had a really difficult season. They won the league, but it was a difficult season. And Antonio Conte was loving the team, was loving the players. So 2 weeks later was not easy for him to say, okay, I jump in another job immediately. So were many factors to make him say no to Tottenham.
Okay, so I can see how the distance between the 2 points in time shortened, which is potentially fantastic. However, Antonio is a fiery character. He's a winner, but he's not an ordinary man, and winners aren't ordinary men. So do you think that Daniel Levy will finally have to support a manager? And by this, not get all the usual loopholes and smoke and mirrors of, no, this is my sporting director, you have to speak to him, or, so put in place a guy and actually back him. Because I think Conte came out with a comment a few weeks in and was saying, if I see a player that I need, that is going to be, a game changer for us.
Yes.
Do you think do you think he's kind of learned his lesson?
I think yes. And also this is why he has a contract till 2023. This is the answer. So also Antonio himself wants to test how will be the relationship with the club and with Daniel Levy. So if he was 100% convinced, maybe he had signed a 4 years contract or 5 years contract. But it's 1.5 year contract also to check in January, and in particular during the summer, how will be this Tottenham impact on the market together with Antonio. And when I say about power, I mean, I want to take you an example of what happened between Antonio Conte and Inter, because it could help Tottenham fans to understand. But it was January of 2 years ago, and Antonio Conte wanted Olivier Giroud as backup option for Romelu Lukaku. Many people in the board say, yes, okay, let's do it. The negotiation was at final stages. The agent of Giroud was in Milan to complete the deal. And then in the board, someone said, no, he's too old. We don't need this player. Sorry, but it was a deal for 2 million euro and salary, but only 2 million euro to Chelsea. And Antonio was furious because he was needing the player. He wanted this kind of player. So it's not about players for 50 million or 60 million. Of course, you also need these players to win. But about the power means I want to decide what kind of players we need. And when I say we, I mean together with Paratici. I think they will be strong together because they are a perfect couple, and they will be together in this way to try also to be together with Daniel Levy and to sign the players and to build a new Tottenham.
I like the idea of Conte putting his toe in the water at Tottenham. It makes more sense with the history. So beyond Tottenham, if we now look at the January window, traditionally, it's not a great window. It's, comparative to the summer. It's not the high times.
Yes.
However, we're coming out of the whole COVID thing. People are walking around normally again, going to football matches, going back into the workplace. Do you think that I think that January might actually be, there's a bit more push with the money? Not as big as the summer, but a little bit more confidence returning.
I think yes. Compared to other January windows, yes. As you said, compared to summer, no. But compared to, also because last summer was incredible on transfer market, to be honest, was the most incredible ever. But talking about January, it will be, I think, a good window because many clubs are looking for opportunities. I think now football is changing, and many clubs are also prepared to accept loan proposals for players. Top clubs were not doing this, only medium clubs 2 or 3 years ago. But now with this after COVID situation, with the financial situation, many clubs, to save salaries, are prepared to say yes to loan proposals. And so I think we'll have some interesting deal. Also, look what happened last season, for example, for Chelsea with Fikayo Tomori, and then in Milan decided to pay 30 million, 29 million to sign him. So I think this kind of deal will be part of the market also for new signings, also in Premier League and in other countries, to have this kind of opportunities, to have loan deals with buy option. It will be market of opportunities, as happened also for Chelsea with Saul on deadline day during the summer. So I see many opportunities. I don't see big deals like Declan Rice for 90 million. These kind of things will be difficult in January, but opportunities, yes. I see a market with many opportunities.
I think you touched on it there, the restructuring of the possibility of a different way of putting together a contract. has allowed extra business to take part. So if we're discussing the financial activity, you'll be aware, as we all are, that many of the clubs linked with the European Super League are carrying significant debt. In England, we've had a few apologies and so forth from a number of the clubs, but how do you feel about this proposed tournament?
You want my personal opinion or what I think is going to happen?
Yeah.
I think it was a project that had a big problem, and the big problem, more than the project itself, was about the communication and how they did it.
100%.
Trying to say this kind of thing, to start this kind of thing in 24 hours during the night with a crazy press release. A crazy press release was done from a baby of 3 years old on paint. Was something terrible as communication. I think the real disaster was not the Super League itself, because if you communicate to people, if you check with people around, but it's going to take years, maybe 1 year, 2 years, to talk with people around, to explicate your idea to the fans of top clubs. You're trying to change the structure of football in 48 hours. It's something that fans can't accept. Then if you want to do something, communicate about it, have an exchange about it. You can't pretend that 5 or 6 or 10 presidents are deciding for the future of whole football in 48 hours with this kind of communication. I think we are in the communication era. Everything is going on communication in football, in many sports, in everything. Also, the USA president is communicating by Twitter. So we're in communication era, and they did a disaster on this point. So they were feeling they were bigger than football world, but it's never going to be like this.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think the communication, the marketing of the whole thing was disastrous. It was as if a 12-year-old had woken up on his birthday and said, "Right, I want an elephant."
Exactly.
You know, just absolute crazy. I mean, the reaction in England from the media, and I have to say, because some people, I think you're probably aware, there were some fans broke into Old Trafford and there was criminal damage and some people were attacked and it was civil disorder, you know, to want a better phrase. And I had a feeling that much of this came off the back of the fact that people have been effectively locked up in house arrest for COVID for 18 months. And a lot of people just went a bit crazy. But the reaction from a lot of the media, the big sort of names in the UK, was frankly a little bit hysterical. It was very, very precious. And my message, which was one small voice against a huge tide, was, well, can we not hear more about this? Because so far we've just got people saying, have you heard what they're doing? Oh my God, quick, you know, light fires, we've got to stop them. But I think that the super clubs, that I think they, first of all, they simply cannot afford for this project to go away. And also, I think your average fan in the street, if you explain to him or her the systems they had in mind, the 2 divisions, the way it was going to operate. But I thought there was a sort of, you're going to have injustices, obviously, whenever you change anything. And there's going to be many challenges. But it would be very arrogant, I think, to think that if you see how much the game has changed in the last 30 years, to then fold your arms and say, well, it's definitely not going to change in the next 30. So do you think if they come back, if they speak, you know, they sit up straight, they speak properly, do you think there's a hope for this? Because I'll be honest with you, I know teams like Watford, you know, your Watford, Leeds, some fantastic teams, maybe even, you know, Leicester City, we don't know, but if there's 2 divisions, that would open the arms a little wider. But do you think that, I mean, I would personally prefer to watch Spurs play AC Milan and then play, you know, Real Madrid, opposed to West Brom or, you know, Norwich City. I mean, I'll just say it out loud because I think lots of people, with their honest with their hearts, they say the same thing. Do you think it could actually happen?
I think they have a chance if they will take time, first point. So as you say, time to speak with people, to explicate people what's going on. I think if they will change the name of the league, because now Super League, whatever you're going to communicate to football fans is always a no. So they need to restart everything on communication side, and also to think about some change in the structure, because maybe it's making no sense to exclude some clubs, to give some club an opportunity. So they need to restructure some part of the Super League concept they had.
Absolutely.
But I agree with you that football can't be the same for the next 30 or 40 or 50 years with always the same kind of things going on. So I agree that we need to change, but also in many other things. And this is why I think that if they will be open with a good communication and taking time, because big changes are taking time. Now we have the VAR, but for many years it was like saying impossible. We don't want to have this kind of thing in football. It's going to take too long before we have the decision from the VAR. So we are against VAR. Now we are used to it, but because it was taking time, we need time to have big changes in football. And this is why they have to do, I think. And I think we have to change in many other things. So I know this focus is on Super League, but for example, I live on transfer market and I still can't understand how it's possible we have 3 months of transfer market during the summer when you can stop on the 1st of August because clubs are not doing anything in July. Last July was only Varane and Sancho. And then in June and in August, we had 1 million deals for top clubs. So it's making no sense to have 3 months with players in August affected. They are playing on the 1st of August for one club and then on the 20th for another club. They're having problem in the preseason. It's a problem for the managers, for the players, for the club itself. So they need to change many things in football, I think. Also with the national team, what's going on with the national team breaks, I think now is so clear is a problem. So they need to change many things, but it's taking time and good marketing, good communication to speak with football fans, not to do things in 48 hours.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. They need to tear all the labels off. They need to start again, and they need to speak to people in a totally different manner. Exactly. So just to wrap up, I've got some sort of quick fire stuff for you. So be as yeah, exactly. So Mourinho at AS Roma, will he achieve the necessary levels of success for the club?
I think it will take time if they will help him. And when I say they, I mean the club, but also the city, the fans. If they will support him on long term, because he has a 3 years contract, I think he has an opportunity to do it. So it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 years, but I think he has the chance to win something for Roma. And this is something huge because for Roma, it's never easy to win in Italy.
So Ollie at Old Trafford seems to be close to losing his job several times a month. Do you feel he can make it work with the club, or are the club waiting for the right replacement to step forward from the shadows?
I think it's not going to be long term. If he will do it, will be till the end of the season and will be like a miracle because he's been in danger many times, and next defeat he will have, it will be danger again on the press and for the fans and many things. But at the same time, if he will do it, I think it will be till the end of the season. Then they will start something new. This is my feeling. So
in the Premier League, who will enjoy the most success this season? Tuchel or Pep?
I feel Pep. This season, I see Pep with a fantastic team, with a fantastic atmosphere around. Tuchel did something incredible. I still say that last season from Chelsea was so underrated on international football talk because he arrived in December, at the end of December, and he won the Champions League. And it's something incredible, and sometimes it's really underrated. But this season, I see Manchester City doing something amazing, really.
And this is very close to me because I have very strict beliefs in terms of achievement, the metrics of winning in football. Harry Kane scores lots of goals, but does he need silverware, be it domestic or international, to be a genuine success in football?
I think that he has a big luck now, and is Antonio Conte, because Antonio Conte loves to work with top strikers. Look at Lukaku, also with normal strikers with the Italian national team. He had Pelé and Zaza, and they were amazing with the Italian national team, with Juventus, with many other strikers like Llorente, was seeming one of the best strikers in the world with Antonio Conte. So Diego Costa with Chelsea did an incredible season. I'm sure that Kane, together with Antonio Conte, will do the next step in the next years. And this is what I hope also for Tottenham fans, because I think they deserve to win something together.
And lastly, Pochettino. He has it all to do at PSG. Very unforgiving employers. Will he survive? He survived once in so much that he's had an extension, but will he survive the next hurdle?
I think yes, and I hope yes, because I think, this is my personal opinion, it is the most difficult job in the world. I am with Pochettino, because if you win, it's easy. You have Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, and many others. If you lose, you're the most stupid manager in the world. So it's going to be super easy to attack Pochettino, whatever is going to happen. He will never be the hero in this case, and I want to be with him because I think he's a very good manager, and I feel that now he has the control of the dressing room, and this is key when you are working with this kind of players.
Okay, well, listen, thank you very much for your time. It was an absolute joy listening to you, and I hope we speak again in the future.
I'm sure. Thank you, and really, it was a super pleasure for me too, and congrats for everything.